Mr. Mike Brosey, he served in the Air Force from 1996 to 1970, and he will just give us a talk on the veterans' timeline of service. Mike.
Good morning. I can regale you with all of my war stories. I didn't actually fight in a shooting war. I fought in a Cold War. That Cold War lasted from September 8th, 1945 till December 26th, 1991. The longest war the United States has fought in. Everybody will look at me and say, Cold War? Well, you didn't do anything. Well, I went where they told me, and I did what they told me, and that's good enough for me. I started out in Freeport, got on the train, rode into Chicago to the induction center. They swore me in. There was a line of probably 40 people, and the sergeant in charge came by and said, "What are you here for?" Air Force, step back. What are you here for? Navy, step back. What are you here for? Army. Marine, step out. What are you here for? Navy, step back. What are you here for? Army. What are you here for? Air Force. What are you here for? Army. Marine, step out. The Marines never drafted anybody, but they sure picked them out of the crowd. After that, they put us all in a bus, ran us down to the YMCA hotel. I must have had the accommodations of the day because I could stand there with my arms out, my fists doubled up, touch both walls at the same time. We got up the next morning, had a quick breakfast. They put us on a bus, drove us out to O'Hare. I got on a 727, flew down to San Antonio, Texas, and started 6 weeks of basic training. And basic is pretty much the same in all branches of the service. You stand there, they holler at you, and you do what they want. When they say jump, you say how high on the way up. Got out of basic training, went to Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi, down where the sewer meets the sea. They had 3 gigantic concrete tubes, and the city sewer went out into the bay after it had been treated, of course, at the sewer plant. While I was down there, Jane Mansfield was putting on a show in Biloxi. She got done and was heading toward New Orleans to go back to California. She got as far as Slidell, Louisiana. Truck stopped abruptly in front of her. The car smashed into it, killed her instantly. Her daughter, Mariska Haggerty, was also in the car with her, was unharmed. When I got done with Biloxi, I went to an exotic place called Sweetwater, Texas. It's about this big around, full size. I was a radar troop. Had a big, huge plotting board, stood behind it, wrote backwards. The people on the other side would read the information, phone it ahead to the command center. Contrary to popular belief, what you see in the movies, radar does not beep. It goes around every 12 seconds, it makes a sweep, but there's no beeping. Unless you happen to turn on your stereo, your tape recorder, your radio, every 12 seconds you're that's the only beep we ever heard, but the machine itself does not beep. I was there for about 18 months. At that time, I got to attend the Sweetwater Rattlesnake Roundup twice. There's an exciting event. Got to eat a little bit of rattlesnake, because that's all there is on a rattlesnake is a little bit. Tasted kind of like fish. They decided they're going to close the radar site. So I said, well, you got your choice. You can go to Alaska, or you can go to Tyndall Air Force Base and take another tech school. And I got to thinking, let's see, Alaska. Cold, snow, Tyndall Air Force Base, Florida. Guess where I'm going? I went down to Tyndall Air Force Base, spent 9 weeks in training down there for computerized radar. It's like going from the 1800s to the 2000s. There was no in-between. There were in-between radars, but I was going to the most advanced radar at the time. Went through that tech school, got up one morning, I heard this strange noise, looked out in the hall, and I heard quack, quack, quack. Somebody had gotten a duck and brought it into the barracks. I don't know why, but hey, you know, it's what you do, because you're in a crowd and you're going to have some fun. I don't know whatever became of the duck. It was there for a couple days and then it was gone. Probably the sergeant came by, and we'll never know what happened to that poor duck. We'll never know what happened to the poor guy that brought it in either. Got out of that tech school, went to another exotic place, Othello, Washington. That's starting from down here in Florida, kitty corner across the United States to Washington State. It's in the middle of the desert. Everybody says, Washington desert? Yes, sir. The central part of Washington is a desert. Very similar to what I had in Sweetwater, Texas. Rattlesnakes, scorpions, few tarantulas here and there. Got up and was messing around, playing the radar and all that good stuff. We'd run practice intercepts with live aircraft. And what that is you have 2 or 3 aircraft in the air, F-4s, F-101s, the older Century Series jet fighter aircraft. They would fly at one another and practice intercepts because they were going over to Vietnam. I was there about another 18 months, and they said, okay, your time is up, but you're not going anywhere. You're in a restricted career field. You're going to put your time in here. Well, lucky me, I spent 4 years in the continental U.S. from 1966 till 1970. Everybody else went to Vietnam and got shot at. And thank God a lot of them came back, and I'm very sorry that more of them did not come back. Got my time put in, got out. Everything was great. All of a sudden, here comes 9/11. I'd been working at Micro for 27 and a half years. 9/11 comes along. They started a new thing called Homeland Security. I suppose you can call it that I enlisted again because I joined TSA, and I put 11 years in there attempting to protect the country from terrorism. And that's another long battle we've got to fight, and I hope we find a solution real soon. And there's one thing I'd like to do before I get done here, and that's read a little dissertation on what a veteran is. For people that may not understand, and for those of you that do, I would like to refresh your memory. It starts out, some veterans wear visible signs of their service, a missing limb, a jagged scar, a certain look in the eye. Others may carry the evidence inside of them, a pin holding a bone together, a piece of shrapnel in the leg, or perhaps another sort of inner steel, the soul's ally forged in the refinery of adversity. Except in parades, however, men and women who have kept America safe wear no badge or emblem. You can't tell a vet just by looking. He's the cop on the beat who spent 6 months in Saudi Arabia sweating 2 gallons a day, making sure the armored personnel carriers didn't run out of fuel. He's the barroom loudmouth, dumber than 5 wooden planks, whose overgrown frat boy behavior is outweighed 100 times in the cosmic scales by 4 hours of exquisite bravery near the 38th parallel. She, or he, is the nurse who fought against futility and went to sleep sobbing every night for 2 solid years in Da Nang. He is the POW who went away one person and came back another, or didn't come back at all. He's the Quantico drill instructor who has never seen combat, but has saved countless lives by turning slouchy, no-account rednecks and gang members into Marines, teaching them to watch each other's backs. He is a parade-riding legionnaire who pins on his ribbons and medals with a prosthetic hand. He's their career quartermaster who watches the ribbons and medals pass him by. He is the 3 anonymous heroes in the Tomb of the Unknowns, whose presence at Arlington Cemetery must forever preserve the memory of all anonymous heroes whose valor dies unrecognized with them in the battlefield or the ocean's sunless depths. He's the old guy bagging groceries at the supermarket, palsied now and aggravatingly slow, who helped liberate a Nazi death camp and who wishes all day long that his wife were still alive to hold him when the nightmares come. He's an ordinary yet extraordinary human being, One person offered some of his life's most vital years in the service of the country and sacrificed his ambitions so others would not have to sacrifice theirs. He is a soldier, a sailor, a sword against the darkness. He is nothing more than the finest, greatest testimony on behalf of the finest, greatest nation ever known. So remember, each time you see someone who has served our country, just lean over and say thank you. That's all most people need. In most cases, it will mean more than any medals they have been awarded or could have been awarded. 2 little words, thank you. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who has given us the freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is a soldier, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to demonstrate. It is a soldier who salutes the flag, serves beneath the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag, and allows the protester to burn the flag. Thank you.